Hello, I'm Brad. I wanted to try a different kind of video this time, so I'm going to make some ground turkey chili. First I'll start with the ingredient list. This is one of my most popular things that I make at home. To start with, we have some green pepper, red pepper, and yellow bell pepper, and then a couple onions, some olive oil, and then I buy the cans of tomato sauce, diced tomatoes, mild taco seasoning, dark red kidney beans, and then Fritos to put on top, or you can have cheese or sour cream. And then we start off with our lean ground turkey, but you could also use ground sausage if you want even more flavor, or ground beef. To start, we're going to go ahead and add some olive oil to our pan. I usually just try to fill up most of the bottom, let it spread out, and then start cooking, and then I'll add the ground turkey to it. I normally put it on a little bit more than half heat, because once it starts heating up, then it'll really start cooking. And it takes about 20 minutes to cook, but I'm also going to cut up the veggies in it as well. So I'll start with cutting those over here, and then putting them into a bowl to get them ready. This is one of my favorite meals to prepare, especially on Sundays when you have a lot of family, or if you have a big group coming together. And it's super healthy and pretty affordable. We'll get some nice chunky onion in there. Goes right through the center a couple times. Now that everything's all mixed up, I think I'm going to go ahead and turn it up a little bit to put more in the middle between medium and hot. So then it'll really start sizzling and cooking a little bit more of that pink out. Alright, it's probably been about 20 minutes or so, and the meat is clearly all cooked. I've done the taste test and the breaking apart a large piece test to make sure everything looks all brown. It's never going to be completely brown with the ground turkey, but at least there's no red, and that's what I look for. And then the texture tastes good when you taste it. Now that everything looks like it's heated up, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back down to medium, and I'm going to start by adding our seasoning. I normally just use the off-brand mild taco seasoning mix, but you can also buy the more name brand stuff, or you can add your own. That it's however you want to for the flavoring, but I find it doesn't make a huge difference, so I just save on the price. Now that I've added 2 packets, I'm going to go ahead and stir it up and try to get that seasoning to hit every little aspect. I think by adding the vegetables, it makes it watery naturally, so that helps to keep it moist and not have to add water to it. But you can always add a little bit of water if you need some more moisture. But it's already started to look really good. I'm going to get it completely stirred up. Alright, now all the color is evenly distributed. Next I'm going to start with adding a can of diced tomatoes. So this time I'm going to use 3 cans of diced tomatoes, the large ones, and then 1 can of tomato sauce. You can also add extra diced tomatoes if you need to make a larger portion. I recommend adding a little bit more meat. But this is such a flexible dish that's so easy to add or take away from. And then after I'll work on the beans. So I'm going to go ahead and add these 3 cans of diced tomatoes to make sure that the pot stays moist. Alright, I've added the diced tomatoes and stirred it in. It's going to start heating up as the pot heats it up a little bit more, and then it'll start simmering. I'm going to go ahead and add a can of tomato sauce. It's another larger can, just to have some more tomato texture in it without necessarily having the diced tomatoes. Alright, I've added the tomato sauce, and now the broth is looking a lot fuller, especially with all that seasoning. It's really looking good. At this point, I'm going to start washing off the beans. Now you can use any kind of beans that you want to for chili, but I prefer the red beans. these red kidney beans. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to strain them and then rinse them off with water to get the starch off, and then put it into the pot. But you could also withhold the beans if you want a beanless chili, because as a standalone this is perfect too. I recommend to go ahead and stir it again, pop the tops off beans, and then to actually go ahead and put it in a strainer. And then to rinse the beans off. Now by rinsing these beans off, like I said, it removes starch, and it makes them seem a little fresher, I think, too. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and drop them right in. And then we'll mix it in after. But I like to go ahead and just knock out getting all 4 of these in here. Alright, now I've stirred the beans into it, and I'm going to go ahead and let it simmer for about 2 minutes. Kind of get the warmth all the way through, put the lid on, and then I'll come over here and chop up some lime to get some freshness, and then I prepare my cheese and the Fritos to put on top. Now it's had a couple minutes to simmer and it looks amazing. Alright, and now we have the final product. I've added some lime, some Asiago Parmesan cheese, and then some Frito chips. I think it looks wonderful. I hope that you've enjoyed this recipe. Thank you so much for joining me today, and let me know in the comments if you have any ideas for your own chili. I know some people prefer it spicy, some prefer it with different toppings. I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments. Thank you so much.